Yeah.
What happens?
Especially with
They just bribe everybody right into the court.
You know, I come from Seoul, and sometimes we say, hey, it's not in man's way of settling conflicts, right? Of resolving conflicts. You know, get one of the elders in the community, talk to him and see how he would resolve it. If you're in Seoul land, you go to one of the shufais, or you go to the fun, to the palace and so on, and resolve the problems there. But hardly anybody, you know, we are living here in Douala. I'm not going to go up to the palace in Seoul to have the problem resolved.
Right. So how do you resolve it if it occurs here in Douala?
Yeah, that has been my that has been the bone of contention, because
Now
we
I see why
don't
you're
seem to
frustrated in the
have
title.
a means of resolving some of these problems. You see, I know I'm not. We all know that there are some groups or some ethnic groups in Cameroon, the people from the western region, for example,
The Bamileke people, to be precise.
Oh, yeah, you know, if you are in a group with them in the njangi group, there is no question of you not reimbursing what you owe the group.
They don't mess around with
money. Not at all. Right. You see, I don't know how they do it, but they have a means of getting their people responsible and accountable. All right. Especially people in positions of authority in a group. Yes. You see, there's no question of you getting a loan and disappearing with a loan, as I see happening in the groups I belong to, in sort of groups. We have a good number of people who have just vamoosed, you know, gone. Some are living abroad
with
people's monies, you know, and you call them and they say, "Oh, well, come! If you are not happy, come and get me. Am I going to go to Europe to get somebody to come and reimburse me?" I mean, but and these are things which, when I wrote this, first of all, you know, I got very frustrated, and I wrote it for the group I belong to, and I sent it out to the people and said, "Now look, we're talking about these things. Sometimes when you document some of these things, they may give people time to reflect on it and see how they can change and how we can, you know, clean up our mess." Okay. You see? So a few people read it and say, "Hey, this is great. Why are you only sending it to this small group?" Right. You see? So I send it into another group I belong to, WhatsApp group still, which covers many more, which cuts across, goes out of Douala to other places. Okay. And people read and say, "Yes, oh, this is great," you know. And then I had the idea to get this little pamphlet. It's just how many pages? 12 pages. Easy to read. It takes a few minutes to read.
It is quite easy. And as we speak, I'm actually just reading this line because you say "so woman." Even you too. Yeah. I'm the one who adds in the even. You too. And somebody said this cancer is spreading into the women's groups as well. And you mentioned Bonkisheri, Konglim, yes, and so on. Yeah. Say some are fled abroad to meet their husbands with suitcases stuffed with the proceeds from their fellow women.
Yes.
And that's a scandal, especially when it concerns the women. No one is safe.
Yes, you know, women generally are considered to be much more quite strict in the way they handle money. They're much more, you could say, reliable in courts, and that's what I all thought. Okay. But then there are groups too are not faring any better. All right. And when you look at it, you see some of the women really they have their husbands abroad. They leave, and they leave quite a mess behind them, and that has been that's also my concern. That this is actually spreading into women's group. If my wife is in some of these groups, and it's every day when they go to their meetings, it's quarrels, and who has not reimbursed what. Yes, I loan money to this person, but where is the document? The treasurer says I loan money to somebody. It's not documented. Yes, somebody met me behind and asked me for some money. I did, and she promised to bring the money in. This time she hasn't done it, and it is, an endless. It's a place turmoil, if you want to.
Right, because it gives the impression that the remaining members of such groups, if they still exist at all, are just there to grab their own, whatever they could grab, and vamoose too.
Yes, that's right. If when somebody lays their hand on whatever amount of money they happen to lay, they just say, okay, this is my own share. I'm not giving it back. Let me just go with it. If I can grab the little I can and disappear, and groups like this are disappearing. And it's not only the groups disappearing, but what is happening to the social fabric of our society.
Okay.
You know, this hatred now that I believe is unnecessary. If people were accountable, there is misunderstanding left and right in families now, which I believe should not be there if these groups worked and functioned the way they should have.
Okay.
You know, because to begin with, some of these groups, Divine, as you know, the essence is usually not the focus is not usually the money side of it.
All right.
Is, you know, this
camaraderie,
socializing, sharing ideas.
You groom a lot of respect for one another.
Yes, right.
And, there's a bond between
each month you people get together and you share information, you share news, you know, you're happy to meet each other.
Especially with what's going back.
What's going on back home now? Yes, you want to know what's happening, and you know, and those who have lost loved ones, you share with them their sorrow. You know, those whose children are doing well, as is always the case. The children are graduating now. Some of our members have children in universities abroad or even here who are graduating. It's usually quite a moment of joy.
All right, you need to have those people
around. Yeah, you come together,
break.
especially many of us who are now much older, and we see our children, our grandchildren coming up. You want to share the joy of families, you know. But nowadays you get together and it's, oh, this person has, you know, oh, my money, I put money here, I can't get it. And it's bringing a lot of disruption in the social fabric of our society. And that has been my concern. And when I wrote that, and I thought, hey, this is for my group, my insult group, and I shared it out. It did, right? So. I met someone from Cameroon who read it and said, are you talking about the Jumbam groups here? Another one from Bicom. Oh, it's exactly the same thing. I met somebody from Bakosi. Oh, yeah. Are you talking about us? So it cuts across our country. Okay. And as I said, the bad thing is that we continue to criticize people who are governing our country because of mismanagement.
All right.
But this mismanagement starts from the grassroots.
From the grassroots.
Yes, we need to clean our act and start being financially accountable. Okay. Not only financially accountable, also accountable for many things. Even giving your word to people. Now nobody trusts anybody anymore.
Okay.
You know, you tell someone, stand here and wait for me, you're saying, hey, am I hearing right? Maybe I should just run away. Because people are not trusting people anymore. Yes.
I can see you wrap it all up by saying, that's the last phrase at the tail end of the book. It says, let's banish from our midst once and for all this pernicious culture of impunity. Well, I'll be suggesting that you just do a follow-up on this, and I'll probably suggest a title for you, Reinstilling Financial Accountability in Our Social Groups, the Bamileke example.
Okay. Maybe I would need to approach them and say, but how do you do it?
All right.
Yes, because you can see people who are financially accountable, who are making progress in our society, who are virtually running our economy for us.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
You may say whatever you want to say about them, but the reality is the truth is there. Reality is there.
Black and white.
That's right.
Those are the wealthiest people
if we could borrow a leaf from their book and see how are you doing it, maybe we'll become accountable.
We'll be counting on you to read the propositions on how to come out of the mess that those social groupings currently find themselves emptying. Thanks sincerely for coming.
Okay, Divine, I'm always there.
Right.
We keep the ball rolling. And,
despite the rains and everything, you're always there.
Well, the season. We thank God for the rains,
It's okay.
Somebody called
when it doesn't rain, we're complaining. When it rains, we're complaining.
You remember somebody said it's showers of blessing, so.
Okay.
Once upon a time.
Thanks sincerely once again, and have a great week as we move on.
All right, Divine. Thank you very much for inviting me.
It's
always
such a
pleasure to be here.
Right.
Yes.
Keja Henry Atembe is in the corridors. When he gets here, we'll be discussing Ni John Fundi. If you stay on with us, you're going to hear from an expert on what is in store when a big event is organized in Yaoundé. That's for people who have products to showcase. It doesn't matter what you want to sell and tell the world that you can do, right? Stay on with us. We'll tell you how to apply and be a part of that event. It's coming up in just a matter of weeks now in Cameroon.